Alright, quick test here. Make sure the mic is working properly. We've been having a lot of problems with that lately, but I think we're good here. It looks like we're on. Keep forgetting that that's in the queue. Let's turn that off. Alright, cool. Camera angle keeps shifting. Alright. Yeah, I have a shortened my microphone cable, so I'm trying to work on getting that fixed up. But obviously, given the situation that we have here with all of this, it's gonna be hard to order anything. It's probably not getting here in time before the storm. Hello, Amputee, Gumby, Isaiah, Ben Geezer. You said that you are ready for an absurd amount of snow. Well, depends on where you are. You may get it, and you may not. You may be like me or Isaiah, and you might be getting ice. One thing I'm kind of surprised about is we haven't seen any ice storm warnings in Memphis yet. I won't lie though. I'm a little surprised that we ended up getting the winter storm warnings this early for Tennessee, along with ice storm warnings. Oh, Nepa baby. Forgive me if I have a brain fart. Don't save me. Okay. Well, we'll see what Mother Nature has to say about that. So Gumby wants to talk about peaches. That's fine, but that's not. But anyways, let's go over the warnings right now, cause yeah, this map's gotten a lot more colorful since the last time we've been here. Speaking of Gumby, actually, you're under a winter storm warning. So enjoy the snow, my guy. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying that dark purple color, Isaiah. Enjoy that ice storm warning. I told you not to talk about Mother Nature because she has a way of getting even with you, and look what's happened. Also, a lot of winter storm warnings over here towards Oklahoma, Arkansas, Texas, of course. Not really much of a surprise there. And then we now have winter storm watches stretching all the way into the Carolinas, Georgia, also heading into West Virginia and even Virginia. Hey, what's up, John? We even have winter storm watches now stretching into parts of Indiana and Ohio now. That was a little bit of a surprise there. Anywhere further off towards the west, so we're just dealing with cold weather advisories. So, some interesting things have happened with this forecast, which we're going to get into in just a second here. But the biggest thing right now that I've noticed is there's been a trend to the south. So obviously, the first thing we're going to do is we're actually going to take a look at the precip map, and then we'll kind of get into the science behind it. Let me do a little adjustment here on this computer because there's a metric I'm looking for, and I'm not really seeing it. Okay, there we go. That is much better. And while I hated to do the stream as late as it is, yeah, exactly what I was about to say, Isaiah. It's the fact that the 0Z GFS is just now beginning to load. Well, so I guess we'll start out with the Euro and just kind of let the GFS load. The good news is with us having the GFS loading at this time and being closer to the event, we don't have to wait as long. So there's pros and cons to it. Me personally, I would have rather waited a little bit longer or would have started earlier in the day. But Ryan and everybody else had to stream, so I'm not going to compete with them. That's a losing battle every time. So no point in doing that. So let's go ahead and kind of get to it here. So here's the Euro, by the way. This is fully loaded right now. So it's probably going to update again within the next, I would say, 3 hours. So obviously, probably not going to be live unless you guys just really want me to. if you're willing to stay up an extra 3 hours, because it'll be like 1 a.m. by the time it will load up here. So your area, by the way, Gumby, you said about 10 plus inches. That sounds about right. That's been consistent with what I've seen across the board with all the forecast models. I've been really watching this system over the last week, but if anyone's followed the channel for long enough, you guys know I'm not really into hyping up events. I'm not one of those fear mongers, or I'm just not one of those guys that's gonna try to hype things up for clout, especially if it's something that's more than a week out, because it easily could change on model guidance. And really, the way this storm system's kind of evolved over the last few days is a great example of that. I'll go into the details of that in just a second. But initiation for the wintry precip actually has kind of moved up a little bit. We're now looking more so at early afternoon. When we looked at model guidance last night, it was really going to be right after sunset when we started to see the rain and snow begin. We're seeing the ice actually push a little bit further up to the north to begin with the Euro, and then we'll see this actually drop south a bit as time goes on. We start to see the snow really begin to pick up overnight on Friday heading into Saturday morning, and then it really starts to pick up by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. Well, we'll see. If you get anything significant, take pictures. If not, still take pictures. As far as the ice is concerned, we have a pretty nice strip of freezing rain that occurs over here from central to western central Texas, stretching all the way into Arkansas and even Mississippi by the time we get into Saturday afternoon. And then it's almost kind of like a two-wave event really begins to occur. The first wave comes in on Saturday, and this is the second wave associated with this low here that starts on Saturday night into Sunday. This is when we start to get the most intense freezing rain, is with this low beginning to strengthen here and push off towards the Gulf here. We end up getting some of this warm air to occur towards the mid-levels of the atmosphere, and this is how we end up getting our freezing rain. It's going to be like an ugly drizzle of freezing rain, and we kind of end up seeing this continue as we head into Sunday. So one thing that's been a big problem with the forecasting is the fact that the GFS and the Euro at times have just not really been in great agreement with one another, and I would expect that discourse to kind of continue here going forward. The Euro's got a really strong warm nose that pushes much further off to the north than what previous models have shown. And as a result, we end up seeing a little bit of an earlier end to the freezing rain event for these areas over towards Georgia and Alabama. In fact, we kind of see what looks like a squall line here trying to develop. Maybe severe weather could even be possible towards the southern end, maybe even all the way towards the Gulf Coast. I find it doubtful. I haven't seen anything popping up on the Storm Prediction Center here. Just thought I'd show that to you guys while I'm at it. But with the convective properties, I would even go as far as to say that there's a chance we could even get thunder snow, or maybe even thunder freezing rain, or thunder ice, whichever one you want to call it. But interesting situation could be occurring there. Some convective activity could be ongoing with this event. The storm seems like it falls apart a little bit quicker with the Euro than what I've been seeing in previous models as well. So by the time we get into Monday morning, this is pretty much out of the area. You have some lingering snow left over towards the northeast as well. So there is that to keep in mind as well. We do have a pretty solid swath of heavy snow over towards the mid-Atlantic now and over towards the northeast. I remember when I was first looking at this on model day, this almost was exclusively a southern snowstorm. I would almost even call it the old school Miller A type snowstorm, but this has morphed into something incredibly unusual and kind of difficult to nail down just exactly where the greatest of impacts could be, because there's a lot of other variables. Like I said, we'll get into the physics with that in a minute. So with that in mind, we'll go ahead and keep it moving. Well, it'll be interesting to see what that has to offer going forward here. So GFS is still loading, so we probably are going to be waiting for like another 20 minutes with that. Yeah, animals are able to sense the weather. That's one thing about it. You know that they're able to sense it. So if they're acting funny, I think it's time for you to keep your eyes open and keep your head on a swivel. So let's go ahead and take a look really quickly at the totals. Alright, so this is going to be our total snowfall here over the course of the event. Let's back this up a little bit so that way we make sure, or move this forward so that we make sure we have all the totals from the event. First bullseye is right over here towards the Midwest. This is Oklahoma and Kansas where we have the high snow totals here. Isolated pockets above a foot of snow are definitely possible at this point. Some areas, especially over towards Oklahoma, may have the greatest total, potentially up to about a foot and a quarter, so about 16 inches. And then if we look over here, this is our other bullseye. It's gotten a lot larger over towards the northern half of Virginia, stretching all the way into the mid-Atlantic now, and even the vineyards at this point. We're expecting a lot of areas expecting over a foot of snow here. Widespread 6 to 10 inch area set up over here towards the Ohio Valley and even parts of the Midwest as well. So we're going to be going kind of back and forth with this here. Some of these same areas are also going to be expecting ice as well. So these totals could be diminished, but one thing I will keep in mind here, or one thing I want us all to keep in mind here, is this model data we're looking at is also on the more conservative side. So at this point, we're looking at the ice totals now, and things have really started to kind of pick up there. We're starting to see a shift back to the south here. I think this is factored in especially from the GFS run that we have here. We're looking at over a quarter-inch ice over towards my area and stretching further up into the mountains, especially over towards the Carolinas. We have the situation of cold air damming occurring here, and we end up getting over three tenths of an inch. I wanted to say 3/4, but 3/10 to almost potentially half an inch of ice and greater. And hang on a second, guys. All right, sorry about that, guys. Yeah, I just realized I hit the ending screen instead of the break stream or the break screen. But yeah, I gotta love it when you get interrupted, but it's okay. It's nothing serious. Just trying to make preparations over here because, like I said, we're in the firing line. This is our area of interest here. But anyways, what I was saying, half an inch to maybe a quarter inch over here, and then the real bullseye, I would say, despite this area being as impressive as it is, this area here we're having from half an inch of ice potentially all the way up to maybe even 3/4 of an inch before all is said and done here. Honestly, I would say that Texas might have gotten spared here because when I look at the first forecast that I'd seen, this was a bullseye over here towards Fort Worth, and we already know the power grid issues they tend to have over here. But either way, we have a stretch of ice that spans all the way from Texas into Virginia, maybe even into Maryland before all is said and done, although totals are a little bit lighter here. But to put in perspective for you, a tenth of an inch of ice will be enough to really make any kind of travel extremely treacherous. Traveling at that point becomes discouraged. Once you get to a quarter inch, that's when travel is essentially impossible, and then you're talking also about the potential for power outages, trees coming down as well. Once you get to half an inch and above, this is when you're starting to really worry about infrastructure being just flat out crippled. So seeing these significant totals on a more conservative model like the National Weather Service's model here, That really kind of says a lot. I don't even want to show you guys some of the other models because the way that they look, they almost kind of paint doomsday scenarios, truthfully. But considering the fact that these totals are on the conservative side and the more and multiple global models are kind of in agreement with each other, I have my share of concerns as well. So I guess I guess I'll ask you guys, do you want me to use those global models with the totals, with the ice and snow totals here? Because it might paint a really ugly picture, and it might startle some people. So viewer discretion advised, even though it's not necessarily gory. Of course you'd say that, Isaiah. Of course you would say that. All right. Any objections? Because I'll show it. Because right now, one person's saying yes. If they're speaking for whoever is on here, whether it's 3 or 10 of you, just thought I'd put it out there. All right. Going once, going twice. All right. I guess we're showing them. Okay. So we'll start out with the euro since we have all that data available. Alright, so the ice totals, will start out with that. This is where things really kind of take an ugly turn here. So these areas in the blue, to put it in perspective, this is where you're starting to get towards an inch of ice. An inch of ice would be catastrophic, to put it lightly. So right here, we're seeing up to about an inch plus of ice towards southwestern parts of Virginia, which is insane to think about. Almost kind of unreal, but possible though. Then over towards your area, Isaiah, you could expect up to an inch of ice. I'm actually not laughing. That's kind of dangerous. But the highest total that I've seen from these models has actually been close to about an inch and a half of ice over here towards southern parts of Arkansas, heading towards the Mississippi Delta, and even into parts of Dallas, of Texas into Fort Worth. We would easily expect maybe half an inch of ice based off of this run. So yeah, no thanks. The GFS, the 18Z runs haven't been much better. They're pretty much in pretty good agreement with what the Euro has been showing. Shock value is value. Well, I mean, fair enough. Uh-oh. Are we losing frames again? Are you freaking serious, man? Literally, I'm getting sick of the way Xfinity does this. Like, this is an everyday thing now, and I'm getting to the point where I'm about to actually snap on these guys. Like, get it right, guys. No, you say that about every model that doesn't show you the weather that you want. So don't say that, Isaiah. Calling it out right here, bud. I'm calling it out right here on stream. You say that about every model that doesn't show the weather you want. And that's why you only end up getting 2 inches of snow according to the Euro. So, interesting thing with the Euro here also, Oklahoma City becomes a bullseye for snow, potentially up to about an inch and a quarter there. Sleet. So when did GFS start showing sleet? Because it sure as heck ain't on pivotal weather here. Yeah, it depends on the snow totals that you look at. I like to actually look at the Kushera ratio. But it's not like it's too dissimilar, though. That's the thing about it. But yeah, this is just kind of that signal that this is going to be a big storm. It just kind of goes without saying. But yeah, the euro looks like it's trying to stifle you a little bit, which honestly is hilarious. Oh, Isaiah, you did that on purpose. I already know you did. Why is the internet acting up again? Why is the internet acting up again? Can we just do a half decent job, Xfinity? Can we please do a half decent job? Or are you really just that freaking trash? I honestly want to say yes. Just a word to the wise for any of you here. Don't choose Xfinity. AT&T's horrible too. Don't choose them, but don't choose Xfinity either. Because all they like to do is just hit the on and off button on your internet, regardless of whether or not you pay the bill. And we definitely pay the bill around here because it's essential to work, not just my YouTube. So, yeah. Well, we have to keep it as Xfinity, unfortunately, because of one reason, and it's not even for me. It's for somebody else in the household. They work from home. The router has to be in the room, and basically, through that, they have to use the hardline connection from Xfinity in order to work. Using T-Mobile or anything else will not do it. It's not, their work will not allow it. The rich continue to torture the poor. Anyway, let's go ahead and see if the GFS is ready. It should be now. This is utterly ridiculous, though, the performance. I've cleared the cache on here many a time, so I already know that this isn't my computer issue. This isn't my computer that's the problem. It's 100% them. Dropping 1,600 frames within 30 minutes is insane. Alright. So this is what the GFS has to offer us here. We're finally past the range where we can actually take a look at this now. A little bit more of an eastward trend. Still kind of a northward trend with this as well. Huge bullseye again over towards the Ohio Valley and heading into the mid-Atlantic here. Potentially up to 2 feet of snow. The GFS is very, very aggressive. Potentially up to 20 inches all the way into the parts of the northeast and the vineyards here. But interestingly enough, to the south, we're not getting any kind of snow here. But do I dare look at the ice totals? I almost don't want to. Wow. So it's funny that you mentioned that the Euro is kind of targeting you, because the GFS is kind of targeting me. Look at this. This is over towards Atlanta. They're saying about 1.14 inches of ice. Sheesh. I don't know if I like the sound of that. And which ratio is it? Cuchera or is it the 10 to 1? Because rumor has it the 10 to 1 is actually more accurate. And then on top of that, like I said, we've had that trend to the south. I think the new model data should be in range now. Yeah, because I'm not seeing any snow here. Oh, you're talking about ice. Nah, yeah. Sounds like GFS is targeting me. Dude, this is not 2 inches of ice. This is not 2 inches of ice at all. Yeah, this is more... Yeah, if you put the cursor over it, it's like 1.23. But yeah, that right here is about almost an inch of ice still. What run are you looking at? Because I don't think that's the right one. Oh, you're looking at freezing rain QPF. you're looking at the quantitative precipitation forecast. That tends to be even more aggressive than the total ice. And that I always look at Fram estimation because it's a little bit more realistic. QPF forecasts are a little bit more finicky. But yeah, either way, 1 inch, 2 inch, it almost doesn't matter at that point. When you get those kinds of totals, either way, it ain't good. That's just putting it lightly. It's not good. I would much rather have 2 inches of snow versus 2 inches of ice. I don't even want a tenth of an inch of ice, truthfully. But yeah, if we get over an inch of ice, we're cooked. It's a wrap. You know what? Here's what I got to say to that. Let's see what the Cucchiera has to say about it. Let's ruin Isaiah's day. Let's ruin Isaiah's night. Come on. Come on, Internet. Let's not do this, please. This is not hard. Oh, you got to be joking. Come on, man. This is not that hard. There you go. Ah, daggone it. Yeah, GFS likes you. Euro hates you. Euro hates me too, but the Euro really doesn't like you at all, which is kind of funny. Because look at this. How do you like that? That's what the Euro thinks of your little forecast. And then here's what and then your ice total. It switches places. Okay, so now I'm kind of interested in seeing what the QPF. See, there you go again. Proving me right. You're guilty. But I would expect for my area to probably see somewhere between like a quarter to half-inch ice. I don't think anything on QPF is that realistic. Well, it's not impossible, but it's not. I wouldn't say it's realistic. Well, I sure hope it isn't. Anyway, though, it's not one thing, it's another, I swear. If it's not one thing, it's another, I tell you. Told you this cord has a short in it, or it might just be the port to the mic itself. Either way, not great. But what I was saying though was, looks like we end up getting more sleet than we do snow starting out, and then or ice starting out, and then it really starts to get bad by the time we get later into the evening. I think that shallow area of warm air kind of sinks a bit, so it's more suited for freezing rain versus sleet. We're probably not getting much in the way of any kind of snow here. You look at the soundings here, it's a great example. This is the freezing line right here. This is 0 degrees. Look at how this pushes off to the right. When you go to the right, these are warmer temperatures here. I haven't seen anything in the way of Cape that will lead me to believe we would have extreme advection or convection or anything like that. But even so, like I said, I wouldn't rule out a rumble of thunder or two. Most unstable Capes all the way at 11. Is like pretty much at 11 though, so not really much. But one thing I will say is all of the warm air, that shallow area of warm air, is definitely between about, I would say, 1 to maybe 20,000 feet. So this is where all of this that will be falling as snow melts to rain, and it's a very dense area of warm air. And this is where the wrinkle kind of really comes into play for the forecast. How much of this ends up being rain, how much of this kind of melts away, it's still kind of a question at this point. And it's pretty much the same thing all across the deep south here. Everywhere else, it's going to be pretty consistent: sleet, freezing rain, snow. Like I said, it's this warm nose here that's going to be really interesting. The whole reason I think that there's a possibility for maybe like thunder sleet or thunder ice or anything like that is the rapid change in temperature around this time frame here. You can see that there's all the way up to maybe even 60 degrees here, and then all around it we're getting 30s, 20s all across here. So it's a pretty big jump in temperature. So somewhere in this gradient we could have some thunderstorms here, maybe even some, and maybe interacting with the wintry precip to the point where we would end up getting sleet. But again, I don't have a lot of indicators that would lead me to believe that as of right now. Now, trying to forecast something like thunder snow and thunder sleet is pretty difficult, but we do have most unstable Cape, and that is a little bit over 100. So again, like I said, it's a little bit of it's enough to kind of make me raise a little brow here, just be like, I don't know about this. Let me see if this is on the Euro as well. Oh, it is. Somewhere around here. I think it's going to be somewhere around here, if we end up getting anything. And we'll watch that move off to the east here. And it kind of holds. So, like I said, this could be a really wacky event. Alright, so with that in mind, sell snow and ice, buy tornadoes. You know, there's such a thing as snow tornadoes or snow-nados too, so there is that. That is definitely something to consider. And when I look at that hodiograph with the skew T chart that we were just observing, that wind profile, it didn't look like it was incredible, but it did have a little curve to it. I'm just playing. That's not going to produce anything, but it's still kind of wild to see that. But not much is chase goals upgraded. Don't drive through the ice to find a snow-nado. Don't drive through the ice to find a snow-nado. That's just madness. And those are more rare than thunder snow, and that's already hard enough to catch. Shoot, just getting a regular tornado is bad enough. Shoot, I'd probably still be at 0 tornadoes right now if you ask me. Even if I had my vehicle this year or last year, simply due to the fact that, well, we just didn't get much of anything over here towards the southeast, which is honestly a blessing, but still. All right. Shut up, Isaiah. How much is Antioch? Antioch? Jeez, I never can pronounce that town name right to save my life. All right, so I have no idea where that is. Antok. All right, thank you for the correction because I never get that one right. Antok. That sounds like it makes more sense. Antioch. 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 Okay. Antioch. Antioch. Sounds like a German name, truthfully. Anyways, Antioch. Got it. I'm probably going to forget it by this weekend. It's near Nashville. Nashville's kind of expecting somewhere between 1 to 3 inches for snow. I think ice totals are going to be about maybe somewhere between tenth to maybe 3/10 of an inch. Maybe towards the western side of town, you probably get a little bit more there. I'm not exactly sure of Intox's location. If it's to the west, then you could get higher totals, closer towards like maybe closer to 4/10. But yeah, I would say a safe ballpark number would probably be somewhere close to like 2 to 4/10 of an inch. Still bad enough. So let's go ahead and pull this back up, see if we didn't get any new updates here. I would anticipate by tomorrow we're going to see more of these areas over here getting into winter storm warnings, which would include my area here. And then we'll probably see how many of these areas are under winter storm watches. Yep. Okay, so we'll probably see by late tomorrow a lot of Pennsylvania, New York, New Jersey, Delaware, Delmarva in general, probably getting into winter storm warnings by probably mid-afternoon, late afternoon. No problem, Margot. I can't even speak anymore. Sheesh. Can't even pronounce names anymore. Low water advisory. That's a new one. I'm not going to investigate that just yet, but we'll probably get into that a little bit later. Oh, it was also a major city in Turkey during the Roman Empire days. That's pretty sick. But I didn't study more of the ancient times. I was more like a war history nerd, like mainly around Civil War and beyond. So of course I wouldn't know much about that. I'm wondering if any of these areas over here uh Isaiah. No, bro. No. Absolutely not, sir. Absolutely not. We are not doing this again tonight. We are not doing this again. Move that message. I mean, all you had to do was add 2 letters to that and it wouldn't have been a problem. But no, you just had to make things difficult. Now I gotta fix it for you. Daggone it. Your name is in blue for a reason. Don't mess it up. But you still didn't delete it. I had to do it. That's the problem. Okay, so a couple of the things we'll probably talk about really quickly while we're at it. I'm doing this little mental reset here. Is the temperatures after the fact. You know exactly what you said wrong. Don't give me that. But one other thing we need to talk about here, of course, is the temperatures. Temperatures are going to be a big problem. And then also the other thing about this is going to be the fact that, well, I think there might be another one according to at least one model. I don't know if the other model data shows it, but I've been seeing this run a little bit more often, and I'm kind of getting nervous. Well, not really nervous, but I'm kind of like, okay, we don't need another one of these. Please stop it. But anyway, these are the temperature. Okay, that's new. Like I said, you're seeing me react to this model data in real time because this is actually loading in as we speak. Now that's brutal, right there. Yeah, this is definitely perfect for ice fishing. Shoot, at the rate we're going, I might end up having temperatures below in the single digits, maybe even below zero. Do you want to look at your area, Isaiah? Well, Isaiah, how do you feel about the GFS now again? How did you feel about the GFS again? Lies. Yeah, these next few days are going to be brutal. Well, I mean, if the ice is thick enough, do you have like a fireplace or something? Like a gas, or you have like a gas stove or anything? Ooh, no propane. You guys can't get any? You might need it. Oh, you don't drive your truck on the ice? Yeah, I wouldn't either. If I had a truck, I wouldn't do it. Now, I'd rather go on foot on the ice if I'm gonna go at all. That's just me. Oh, they were out? Yeah, that sounds about right. It's a little too late. Yeah. I mean, like I said, a quarter inch of ice doesn't guarantee power outages. It increases the concern for sure. But once you get to that half inch ice, like where I'm kind of flirting with it, that's when there's real problems. But thankfully, we're in the right kind of place to deal with this. That's kind of what I would be on, John. If I was gonna do ice fishing, I wouldn't want to drive a truck out there. Not unless I know there's like at least a good 4 feet of ice. Well, we'll take a look at soundings over your area during peak time of the event. We can kind of go from there. One thing I definitely want to do though right now is I want to try to see if I can, sheesh. What I want to try to see is what the wind chill index is looking like, because that's going to be a big problem as well. It's not like I'm going to be able to work in this, that's for sure. There's one thing about it, like I said, the chemical truck will still freeze if temperatures go below 32. So here are the wind chills, by the way. I wonder if we're going to end up below zero. It's getting pretty daggone close. This trends any further in the wrong direction, it does. Yeah, because for basically what would be almost like a half inch of ice, it would take several inches of snow to have the same kind of impact on power lines. Hmm? Still getting messages from people on my phone as I go, too. Anyway, though, what was I saying? But yeah, wind chills are going to be a big, big problem. Don't be surprised to end up with several inches of sleet. It definitely seems like that could be a thing based off of what all the forecast models have been showing. Along I-40, yeah, that definitely seems like it makes sense, especially if you end up, especially with this little jump off to the south here. All right, so this will be, so this is relatively close, so we'll use this almost kind of like an area sounding. Yeah, you're definitely at least looking like sleet or snow. Surface temperature is well below freezing, so you're going to get like any kind of instant freezing on contact, that's for sure. Then here's our 0 degree line here. It seems like it's going to be right at about maybe 1,000 feet to maybe even 20,000 feet above your heads where it's above freezing. And this is where you get that mix of sleet and snow coming in. It's an ugly mix. And then if we were to keep that going, temperature kind of goes up as things go forward here. Yeah, it seems like sleet's been the main trend so far. And then here's where we start getting into the freezing rain. It'll be really more so towards Sunday where you start to have those issues. Yeah, if we go frame by frame on this, you end up getting a lot. You end up getting a lot more in freezing rain all the way up until maybe Sunday afternoon, probably right around noon. You might get a period of sleet, and then right. Well, it looks like you actually stay there. And then I think by Sunday you actually clear out, and then you end up going back to snow finally. But really, your peak time for freezing rain looks to be earlier on Sunday morning, overnight Sunday. Let's check and see what Texas looks like. We'll go ahead and do that one too while we're at it. Oh, that also reminds me, we should be able to get a good look at things from some of the convective models now. Okay, so nothing going on at this point. This is Friday evening. It's expected to be mostly rain starting out over here. This should be just north of Dallas. And then it doesn't take long for that freezing rain to come in as we get into Saturday morning. This is the second round of the event, most likely. You bounce back and forth between sleet here if you're over towards Dallas. Then as time goes on, it mainly seems like sleet becomes the predominant factor. And then we're kind of staying with sleet from here on out, it looks like. So that would be a little bit more of a positive scenario if you were to get sleet versus just straight up freezing rain. Because then the glaze only gets worse. And then here we go. We're right back to that again. It's crazy how that surface temperature is like at almost 12 to 18 degrees. But that column of warm air just does not go anywhere. It's so persistent. By this point, the storm system's out of here, so no longer an issue to look at this. Let's go into the mountains here. This is up towards western North Carolina. Alright, sleet. None. We'll just kind of keep it rolling, and then we'll kind of figure out what's next. Yep, here we go with the freezing rain. And then from here, looks like it's intermittent starting out by the time we get into early Sunday, and then by Sunday afternoon, that's when I would expect the peak to begin here. Could be a period of rain due to that warm nose, and then after that, that's when things kind of take an uglier turn, I'm betting. Oh, there we go. Freezing rain again. It's actually a little bit more wish-washy here based off of the skew tees. Yeah, you and I are in the same boat, ATR. We're looking at just strictly ice from the looks of it. It's not great. Not great at all. And pretty much is a persistent thing no matter which model I look at too. Come to think of it, nah, I think we might have to wait a little bit longer for the HRRR in those models to be in range. I think HRRR is officially in range tomorrow. So another elephant in the room I want to address as well, actually, has a lot to do with what we're seeing on the 31st. Because what is this? If you're towards Lauren, let me actually pull up blend of models again so you can see the ice. The further off to the south you are, the better. If you're up closer towards north central, you're gonna be you're sitting at about 0.3 inches or 3/10. Yeah, upstate is bad. You're well over that quarter of an inch threshold, maybe pushing about 3 to 4/10 possibly. And this is off of one of the more conservative models. Nightmare case is we end up getting potentially all the way up to about an inch of ice there. So, like I said, not great. We're pretty much in the same boat. Whatever you end up getting, whatever I end up getting might be what you end up getting. You probably end up getting worse. Because we're close to where the warm nose would end up being as well. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of bad there. Yeah, you're like right on the edge of being around that quarter inch and being in the full on danger zone, I would say. Yeah, like you're literally like right in the. You're literally just like right on the edge of being in the bullseye. But even then, quarter inch ice still isn't great. But it would be better than getting a half inch. It seemed like at one point we were working our way out of the bullseye, and we might be working our way back into it now because models are trending back south. So, yeah, not great, not great at all. As far as snow is concerned, we're both getting stiffed. Let's just be honest. I'm right here on the edge of this area where we're kind of like, you might get a little trace of something, or you might just get nothing at all. It's just gonna be penance. That's it. And you're kind of in the same boat there too. So I'm pretty sure whatever I get, you're gonna get something close to that, maybe more or less. Really depends on what that warm nose decides to do. Yeah, you're probably gonna get something. You're getting Yeah, it sounds like you're getting delusions, Isaiah, because it really looks like you're gonna get maybe probably about 2 to 4 inches of snow. Because he keeps on getting angry at weather models when it doesn't give him what he wants. That's not how meteorology works, sir. So I suggest you figure out what you want to do with that. Now there is a chance that that could end up being sleet. No, I tell you what you need to hear now, what you want to hear. And that's probably why I don't have more than 1,500 subs. Or 1,400. What do I think of the Euro not showing as much sleet? Mmm. Let me show you what the GFS is showing. You do get some sleet from the GFS, but then it switches back over. It really just depends on how things end up mixing towards the upper levels of the atmosphere. Take a look at the SKU-T chart. I mean, even though it says freezing rain, it's a pretty shallow area of warm air aloft. In some cases, this is almost just a full-on rain event, truthfully. But it's really just the surface temperatures that are below freezing. Up towards the higher levels, we're above freezing. Just about all the way up to about maybe 25,000 feet. Well, Isaiah, if you hate crumbs, you know what you need to do. Sweep them up or vacuum them up. Are you going to sit here and complain about it on stream, or are you going to do something about it? All right, let's see what the Euro has to offer. It's going to be a mess for just about everybody. That's just really the best way to describe it. It just looks like this system is just bad. Just no one. This is not going to be anything. It's not going to be anything you want. Yeah, no matter how you look at it, you're getting freezing rain regardless. Euro isn't really showing as much in the way of sleet, though, mainly because of that same sounding. You would get colder air closer towards the surface to kind of get more sleet, but it's a pretty dramatic change in temperature once you get up to about, honestly, a couple thousand feet above our heads at this point. Don't be lazy, Isaiah. Just vacuum the thing off. If you're going to put on new sheets, you got to vacuum. That means you got to wash the old ones. Lazy. Yeah, this is all freezing rain. Euro just hates people right now. That's for sure. It's not people friendly. That's for certain. Euro also wants to have a warm nose in there, which may save us just a little bit. I try. You gotta tell YouTube that. 'Cause I upload. I mean, I'm here often, but I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm not the status quo weather guy that's super professional. I don't know. It could be that. Could be the fact that I wear hats all the time. Who knows? I'm not trying to sacrifice my character and become a robot. Could be that. But yeah, it feels like YouTube just really doesn't get my videos out. Or for whatever reason, they just don't get out. It could be an algorithm thing. It could be a personal thing with YouTube. Yeah, exactly. That's one thing I will not do. I'm not a hyper. I don't hype up events. Because if I'm being honest, I saw this a week in advance. A week before people started talking about it. I was just kind of looking at it like, that's interesting. I matched it. I matched up the GFS signal with the Euro. I was kind of like, you know, that looks interesting, but I'm not ready to pull the trigger on it. But once I started seeing the icon go with it, so that's at that point you're looking at maybe three, and then the Canadian model, the GDPS comes in. That's four models you're talking about there that's showing relatively the same thing. That's when it's like, okay, we might have something here. It's a signal. We're looking at trends now, and even then, during any point during that time, that trend goes away, the signal's gone, and now I just kind of look like an idiot. I'd rather be right than viral. That's just me. I'd rather be right. It's honestly hard. It's honestly hard to say. Because if I'm being completely honest, I would say that, and I'll actually pull up the map here. I could argue that maybe Arkansas could see an ice storm warning as well. We could even stretch that back towards like Memphis, even areas a little further off towards the west too. Maybe even Pine Bluff and Little Rock, but they haven't done it. It really, I think it boils down to the jurisdiction of each station. That's how it is with a lot of warnings when it comes to winter weather. What you would call a winter storm watch or winter storm warning up north is very different from what it would be down here. For like in my area for Atlanta, in Atlanta for example, I think winter storm watch would be about 2 inches of snow, maybe about a tenth of an inch of ice or more, and then that of course will get updated to winter storm warnings. But yeah, I feel like with ice storm, it seems like it would be a little bit more universal because to me it doesn't really matter where you're from. Once you get up to about a quarter inch of ice, it's pretty hard to keep up with that. The road networks become a lot more hazardous, and then at that point as well, even if you can keep the roads clear, that's when you start having to worry about the trees, the power lines. And then once you get to about a half inch plus, it's just like, come on, man. But yeah, I think up to the northern states, it would probably be more along the lines of about 4 inches plus to get a winter storm watch. So yeah, it's those little key nuances that would make it really hard for me to answer. Yeah, more than likely, I think even if models uptrend, I doubt they're gonna go with ice storm warnings. They're probably gonna do winter storm warning, and then For the wind, they'll probably do like a special weather statement. That's typically how they tend to go, but it's hard to say. But I mean, I see your argument and I don't really disagree with it, but the decision is not mine either. So, it's just one of those things. Yeah, I wouldn't complain if I don't get an ice storm warning, truthfully. I would actually be kind of happy. Because one could argue, given the model data, that we should be in an ice storm warning. We're not, though, so. And then on top of that, there's that chance that that warm nose kicks in and we get a switch over to rain. Considering the fact that I'm a little bit closer towards the east side of town where the ice bullseye is a little bit closer, though, my hopes aren't necessarily high. Because notice over here, towards central, southern Alabama, Tuscaloosa, Montgomery here, not even a winter weather advisory. Yeah. Yeah. What really hurts is the fact that we end up getting this situation of what's called cold air damming. It's where these mountains up here, they end up catching the cold air that's going to be coming in from the south. It's almost going to act literally just like a dam, and it's not really going to seep through to these areas, and that's why we don't see the switch over to snow happening here. That combined with that shallow area of warm air aloft. So what ends up happening over time is eventually once that cold air seeps through, the moisture is gone, and then we end up getting refreeze, even if you end up getting rain. And then also that shift in wind direction that's going to be coming with the physics of the storm system itself. That's where the problem really kicks in. Because here is the lowdown with this whole system. So you have these low pressure areas towards the south that we're going to be keeping an eye on. They're going to be popping on and off of the map intermittently. But then we have this really strong high pressure over here as well to go with that. This is going to end up dropping south. The thing to remember with high pressure is high pressure has a clockwise flow. The stronger the pressure, the more that kind of spans out. You can kind of see it highlighted by these contours here, and these isobars. So the strongest part of the cold air mass is here, but this is where the high pressure is located. So we'll see that move off to the south, and this is the first piece of energy. This is round one of the event. It's going to be this low pressure here. Then you have this secondary low pressure that follows up here, and then this low pressure is here. As that low gets stronger, this pushes warm air into the equation as well towards the surface. That's why these guys end up getting more rain and maybe even the chance for a rumble of thunder. Then that warm air, as that rises into the mid to upper levels of the atmosphere, mixes in with that cold air. This is where we get that sleet, because that cold air is clashing with the warm air right about here. So this ends up becoming our battle zone. Then you see how this kind of curves off here. That's the cold air damming beginning to occur. And then we also get another high pressure right here. It's a little bit weaker in stature, but remember, clockwise flow. So wind's pushing in this way. So our winds come in from the east now. So that cold air is running into the moisture again. But that's mainly going to be cold air towards the surface. But it's going to help kind of almost lock in this deformation zone where we end up seeing, instead of snow, more so freezing rain, sleet, and then towards the north side of this we end up getting snow. So basically, best way to describe it is all the cold air is going to drop south and then almost kind of curve this way. Terrible arrow, I know, I'm sorry. So moisture is coming in from the Gulf this way. I can never draw with the mouse, forgive me. And then this ends up becoming our battle zone all the way up through here. Yeah, we were talking about that in yesterday's stream with the areas affected by Helene. This is those guys just can't be left alone, can they? I remember traveling up through there last year when I was doing work. When I was doing work through there, because I ended up having to do a pool table job all the way up in North Carolina. Tree at my house that's leaning on the house that's been struck by lightning. Limbs fell off from the lean. Too late to cut it down. Yeah, it definitely is too late now. It would take too long to cut it down in time, and then on top of that, it's risky if it's near your house to begin with. So it's almost like a surgical procedure. I know that from working landscaping, but I never cut down any like large scale trees. It was only just smaller stuff. But you have to cut it a certain way so it leans over and falls away from the house. So it's professional work. You have to be licensed, insured in order to do that. And no one's really willing to do that on a short notice. That much I do know. So it's a tough situation. I'm sorry you're in it. But yeah, that's the physics of this system essentially, is that we get 2 rounds. We get 2 low pressure systems. Here's our first one, then here's the second one. That's why we get the second wave right here. And then we have that warm air, which becomes the wild card for the southeast. But eventually that warm air ends up pushing moisture into this wall of cold air from the cold air damming. So it's a little different. We typically have terms for these winter systems, like we have the Miller A storm system, and that's what this could have been, but this kind of maybe leans towards maybe a really odd Miller B storm system. You were at a state park. Yikes. No thanks. Like, still to this day, I have to say, man, the way that Helene ended up working out, as bad as it was for North Carolina, I would say I personally got lucky. Because all that happened over there, it really was supposed to happen over towards my area. And then it took that turn off to the northeast. If it kept going, which originally it was more so off towards the west, like right here, if it went this way, which was the original track on the forecast, that right front quadrant with all the tornadoes and high winds goes right over the Atlanta area. But it was this shift that happened here is what saved me. Because it was actually this track here. This was the ultimate track here. Because Helene made impact right around the Big Bend of Florida. Because I remember I was live. I covered that. That was my first 12-hour stream. Yep, and that's where yeah, I remember that. There were several tornadoes, reports of about up to 90-mile-per-hour winds there as well. Everybody was on intermittently. I think all the mods and admin were on deck at least at one point or another. And then I actually passed out during the stream to go with it. Hey, Jordan. I think it was during the Pi Day weekend event. I think we were on stream for at least 2 days, for 2 days in a row. We covered what happened in Arkansas, and then I think it was the 15th, because Pi Day was 3/14. That was when the Diaz tornado happened, and then on the 15th, that's when we had the big tornadoes in Alabama. I think we had a couple EF3s and maybe like one EF4 from that one. No, we had tornado emergencies that day, so there was that. Also, Jordan, you are a lucky SOB, or a lucky son of a gun, I would say. The GFS and the Euro are sparing you. It looks like you're back to only snow. Yeah, I think that was Tylertown, Mississippi. because we had warnings and emergencies in Mississippi. Well, no, the Euro still doesn't quite like you all that much. Then again, the Euro's saying I hate everybody. But even if you get ice based off of the Euro, there's going to be rain on the backside of it, which could melt it. If I'm being honest, I wouldn't be surprised if maybe towards mid-February it starts, mid to late February we get going. Given the fact that we're gonna have an early transition from a La Nina into a neutral Enzo again, kind of like last year, it leads me to think that we're gonna have an earlier start. All right, so here's the latest on your snow totals. Oh wait, this is wrong. I don't know how this popped up again. Okay, there we go. This is the latest on your snow totals based off the blend of models. Possibly about 4 inches of snow if we go with ice. Come on. Yeah, come on. Okay, there we go. That's about right. Yeah, you're sitting at about maybe 2/10 if you're lucky. You're gonna be kind of, yeah. NBM's very conservative. I usually will tend to look at that more so than anything else. Totals did kind of drop off just a skosh. I'm not seeing as much 3/4 instances, but still, if I were to compare that to the GFS, I have my questions there as well. GFS just looks bad in general. I don't know where 3/4 of an inch ice is coming from for you. I will say that. I can almost guarantee at this point it's going to be sleet and ice. The way that shallow area of warm air is just going to be god awful. Well, if we're being fair, Jordan, your totals vary pretty widely on model data, and it all really depends on what that low pressure further off to the south here ends up doing. I was just going over that a minute ago. But to put it in perspective for you, you saw what I had just shown, and I'm actually going to go ahead and go back on that. Let's look at the snow totals again, if we can get this to work. Oh, so it goes hour by hour here since I didn't do a loop. Isn't that annoying? There we go. Alright, so watching that exit out. There. Okay. So this is probably about where you are. You're probably sitting between 3 to 5, maybe even 6. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in just a little bit, actually. And that's kind of why I'm a little bit intrigued to wait for the Euro. Simply because, well, at this point, we'll probably have like maybe another 30 to 45 minutes once it to have that load in, and then we kind of go on from there. Okay, so we have that. Actually, here's what I'll do. This is a little bit more genius. This is a little bit more of a genius move here. Let's do this, and then do this. Then we add in this, and then boom. See, look at the disparity here. So you're talking about the blend of models here from the National Weather Service, which is basically a compilation of all the models mixed in together to get like a mean total. So you could sit anywhere from like 4 to 6 inches, maybe even 8 inches, versus the GFS, which has 18 inches of snow. Of course, with the GFS, the scenario is the warm nose doesn't quite make it as far to the north. And then you have the 18Z Euro, which is dated now. And then yeah, we kind of go from there. Look at that. Look at how the Euro just says, screw you, you're only getting ice. You're looking at maybe about 1 to 2 inches with this. So, yeah, like I said, the margin is so wide on snow. Like, it's almost an impossible forecast for, like, the local guys. That's one thing about it. I did see that you had one more question, by the way, TR. You didn't have to retract that. I would have got to you. It's not like I have. Well, I mean, we talked about the physics of this system the other day. I mean, I'm willing to go over it again, but, you know, it's kind of the same thing across the board. All right. Low pressure is number 1 and 2 right here. This is how the event gets started. Here's moisture. And then this low ends up moving out to here. This low kind of hangs around here. This is what ends up becoming that reinforcing event. If you get above a ½ inch ice, power outages become pretty likely. But that's the key question. Do you get that? And also, if it changes over to rain for a brief period, it could melt a lot of that ice away, and depending on the duration. Surface temperatures remain below freezing, then it just gets worse. So it's kind of there's kind of a wrinkle there. And that's why this is such a frustrating forecast for me. Because, see, like I said, with the Euro, at some point, it's expecting a shift over to rain. Even though I would mainly expect the freezing rain to continue around here. But at some point with this run, especially with the low really starting to strengthen here, it's going to pull in enough warm air to where it even forms like a little BS squall line here. And then we shift over to rain to end the event. And that's also the key component to this. Does this high also situate itself further to the south and ends up pushing this back south with winds coming in from the east? Winds come in from the east more, this gives you more snow, Jordan. But if that low is where it is here with the Euro scenario and it strengthens, then that shallow area of warm air in the atmosphere comes in, then you end up getting more snow. So that's why model data is so screwy right now, because literally the low pressure pops up here 1007, drops all the way to 1002. And when it drops to 1002, look at how far that warm air pushes north. But GFS doesn't bank on that low pressure really firing off into anything that significant. It still pops up, but it's not to the same extent. That still seems like it could be likely, but at this point, it's just hard for me to really latch on to anything now. I did all that backtracking for nothing. GFS scenario is kind of a similar deal, but watch this. Low pressure doesn't really pop up on here until way later. Look how much weaker it is. About 3 millibars of difference. Also keeps this area off to the east as more snow and ice. It's going to one thing about the rain, the normal rainfall, it's gonna refreeze. Like, that's not even a question. Bro, what the? Who is still messaging? Oh, okay. Like people blowing my phone up for no reason, man. Come on. Then also, here's another interesting scenario here that pops up. This low pressure kind of kicks in here, and it also helps kick this low out from the GFS now in the latest run. So it just seems like things just continue to get wackier as time goes on. Monday and Tuesday are going to be just god awful with the temperatures. It's going to be the coldest air of the season by far. Depending on where you are, you could even drop with wind chills below even 0 at this point. And now that we've gone over that again, let's address the final elephant in the room. And this is what really has been irking me as of lately. Because, sheesh, here it is. We got yet another system that pops up here. More winter storm potential towards the end of the month. And a much stronger low pressure with stronger cold air in place. So it leads me to think that we'll have more snow this time. We do get a deformation zone right here as well, so that's going to be another thing that's variable. That's correct. And then look at this again. Here's the 31st. Whew. That deformation zone looks like it's something serious if this ends up panning out. This is actually starting to look a little bit similar to what I was seeing towards a similar time with this current system we're dealing with now. If you get the ice that the models are predicting, yeah, it's a problem. It's a huge problem. Oh, wow. That's an interesting scenario if that does come into play. So watch what happens with this. This is interesting. Now, obviously, this is a far off run, and I don't want to really hype this up. Since we're on stream, I'll talk about it on here. I'm probably not going to be making a video on this for at least another couple of days. But watch what happens with this low pressure. We're at 1,000 millibars. Cold air is already in place. It's a very strong 1,000 millibar. It actually even drops below. It actually goes sub 1,000 here, so we end up getting heavy snow in the mountains here. We get snow on the backside of this towards Georgia. But watch what happens as time goes on. This continues to hold its own, but this snow ends up getting caught in the high pressure that's over here. You can see the contour lines kind of circling around in that clockwise motion here. So we actually get a little bit of a rerun over here towards the Appalachians in the deep south before this moves out. All while in the meanwhile, we end up getting a nor'easter type event for the interior and coastal northeast as well. Now, that run, I'm not sure if I buy it, but that's pretty crazy if it does end up happening. And to think that that's how we would start out February, too. That is wild. And then from that point, it looks like the picture kind of quiets down. Well. GFS is almost done. The Euro is not even starting yet. Yeah, no lie. I don't know if that's how I'd want February to go either. It's going to be a headache for me because I have to figure out the logistics behind this all and if it's even practical. As much as I do know, and I feel like I know a good bit about weather, I don't know if that scenario is practical yet. I mean, it seems like it could be because this gets sandwiched in between two high pressures. But at this range, just trying to latch onto this, it seems like too much of a risk, too big of a stretch for me to do that. But if this does end up becoming a thing, I guess go ahead and clip it and save it, but don't put it out on YouTube anywhere. If we verify it, then post it. And through all of this, I just realized something. We haven't even had a chance to do the February outlook yet. Guess we'll do that in real time. So I guess for all of you that are still on right now, you're getting a little bit of a treat here. You're kind of getting a behind the scenes look as to how I do it. No. Dude, if you put that online, if you put that on YouTube as a clip, I'm going to find you, Jordan. I'm going to find you. Oh boy. Okay. I've yet to look at this yet. Typically, I put these out the day that I see them. It might kind of be a moot point, and I might wait all the way till the end of the month to do it now at this point. Yeah, here we are. This is the monthly temperature outlook for February. This is based off a 30-day average, so this could be... This is not going to sum up what every day is going to be like. So, southeast ridge looks like it might come back into play. Up north towards Alaska, do see cold air towards the southeastern half of the state, so northwest could be a point of interest there. And then over towards the western half of the state, we're looking a little warm. Let's go ahead, do this while we're at it. And then this. So I'm looking at the oscillation map right here, or this is what I call it. We're looking at the air pressures over here, or the air masses, and also just looking at just general pressure going forward here. Well, the way things are set up right now with this warmer air right here, this is going to allow cold air to move further to the south. Because the pressure here now up towards the North Pole is unstable, and that's how these cold air pushes and polar vortex end up coming to be. We're going to see that trend kind of continue, and you can see this next big plunge of cold air maybe coming towards the 12th. So something to pay attention to going forward there. And it looks like we might still be in this pattern at least till mid, maybe even late February before we kind of calm back down a little bit. Maybe even into March. What interests me most about this is it might be more so the collision of warm and cold air masses where it is applicable. Then we might be talking about the potential of severe weather. We're going to change this view, look at the lower 48. We'll go back to this. Looks like our battle zone is going to be kind of around the same place in the weeks that follow. This does give me a little bit more confidence, even though it, albeit a small amount, for that next system maybe a week from now. But I'm not sure if I'm still able to latch onto it just yet. Just mentally, I just don't think I can. It just feels a little bit too irresponsible. But with the way that the jet stream seems to be setting up, because the ridging out towards the west looks like it continues, troughing continues out towards the east. Definitely looks like the Ohio Valley is going to get more snowstorms possibly. And then it really doesn't look like things change too much from what we're dealing with now. Of course, as I've mentioned before, by the time we get into the next outlook, which is going to be like a week from now, could be different. I'm a little parched here. I need something to drink. Grab me a body armor while I'm at it. Then we'll go ahead and look at our values. So, of course, we know what this week's going to be like. This is going to hurt a lot. And then, if you want to be anywhere, I guess we'll be out towards the northwest where it's well above average. we kind of level off towards maybe mid-February, and then we're kind of back in a weird spot again, as we mentioned before. I'm really interested to see what the preset map looks like here. So basically, you're getting a preview of what February could be like. Alexa, lights on, man. Alexa, lights on. Dang. I know I paid my light bill, daggone it. So it looks like we quiet down a little bit at least. Oh, never mind. That doesn't last long. I'm really intrigued to see what this month could be like, what this upcoming month could be like, especially towards the end. An echo dot. They're not bad. Oh, why did I duplicate that? That's not what I wanted to do. Screw your ham sandwich, Jordan. That one wasn't that bad, Isaiah. That one was okay. That was fine. Bro, why are people still messaging me? Leave me alone, man. Dang. Unless the world's like on fire, why am I getting messages left and right? Oh, okay, this one isn't that bad. I was about to say, man, come on. Because I got a whole bunch of people telling me, hey, man, what's up with this ice storm? Like I sent you guys a whole reel on Instagram days ago, and you guys didn't read it. So that's on you guys. Ah! What the heck did I click? What the heck did I click here, man? What is that? Oh, okay, that's what that was. I accidentally opened like an Instagram message. Yeah, but at this point, I'm probably not. Well, I'll probably make like a huge compilation for next year at this point. For like the 5-year anniversary of the channel. Because next year will make 5 years in March. I mean, I'm hoping that we still have a channel at that point. It's a little battle zone right here. That's going to be something to pay attention to. But yeah, this was a perfect snow signal right here. This is why I'm a little less certain about it, but even then you kind of see the signal right here from the next storm too, though. Yeah, I'm still going to be I'm still going to be pretty busy though either way, no matter how you look at it. Yeah, I don't know what that was, honestly. I just opened up Instagram and I just guess I opened up a message thread. Somebody had sent me something. Yeah, that's pretty much a general idea of what the monthly outlook is going to be like. And that's also the process in which I end up kind of making my own little outlook there. I basically kind of look at these and just I look at these outlooks, look up a little bit of data as well. I'll look at the graph here for the Enzo chart. So Here's February, March, April. Still looks like we're kind of like right on the edge of getting out of the La Nina. We might just be starting to get back into that neutral enso phase here. Because this is where La Nina starts right here, is negative zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius. So it looks like by this point we're just now marching past that, or we might already be past that. It's really hard to see at this point. Yeah, we are. We are past it. So La Nina probably breaks right around the end of this month, heading into February. And then by this time frame here, we're neutral again, and that's where things kind of get really wacky, I bet. When is the NAMUL come out? That's what we're calling weather models now? If we're being honest, it should already be out. It is already out. You're going to look at the NAM for... You're going to look at the NAM? Really? You want to look at the NAM, Isaiah? Of all the models that you want to look at, canceled. I'm just playing. I don't care. But of all the models that you want to look at, you want to look at the NAM for a winter event. The NAM wants to give you sleet and no snow. Yeah, nobody told you to use WeatherWise for this. Yeah, the NAM really doesn't like you. It's honestly kind of funny. You get sleet and you get ice. There, that's what you get. That's what you get. I tried to warn you. I tried to warn you. Yeah, the NAM doesn't really like anyone. Except for me. It doesn't really give me much of anything. Except for cold rain, which kind of sucks in its own right. But I'd rather have that over ice. Oh boy. I told you not to look at the NAM. You would be disappointed. The AI version of the Euro is starting to come in, so we're probably a few minutes away from the actual Euro starting to kick in. Yeah, now you're messing it up again, Isaiah. I don't know why you just said that. That was really, really bad. Oh, here it is. Euro is starting to load. No, that was my mic stand. I was trying to adjust it. So my mic stand has like springs on it. So whenever I move the arm like this or that, you'll sometimes hear the springs popping. Just kind of readjusting. But yeah. But that's it right there. You can hear the noise from the springs there. All that's my springs. The mic stand is great. It's just the mic, or probably the port in the mic that's messed up. Or maybe it could even be a what? A Vagisil? Why are we getting YouTube? What the heck, man? There's not a woman in sight in the chat either. Okay, I'll play Freebird for you on this if you like. There, you happy? You got a dumb mobile game? Okay, mobile game makes a little bit more sense, but really a Vagisil ad? That's crazy. Come on, YouTube. Do better. The last time we had any females in chat was very early on. It was all the way back at like 11 o'clock. That's been a whole hour from now. That was a whole hour ago. Anyway, though, what should we go over while we wait for the Euro? Or should I play Twisted? Or what do we do? 'Cause I still see 6 of you on here right now. I appreciate you guys. I want to say that also. Or anything else. Well, we didn't go over the Canadian model. I guess we could do that. Or the icon. So I guess we could run those real quick. Like I said, the fortunate thing with this is the fact that, well, you don't have to really wait too long for the Euro to kick in. I kind of read that wrong, Jordan. I was about to say it, and then I realized, okay, I'm reading that all wrong. And I was about to say something really dumb. Oh, wow. Canadian really doesn't like either one of you. Yeah, it is smooth because I didn't say it. So take that. Haha. You know what? Just for that, you trying to make fun of me? Get wrecked by the GFS or GDPS, the Canadian model. Alright. So let's run the icon real quick and then we'll go ahead and do it. Alright, pretty much a similar deal here. Oh yeah, icon doesn't like you either. Take that. Yeah, take that. That's what you get for making fun of me. That's what you get for making fun of me. Well, they don't like you right now. Just saying, you get sleet and ice with no snow, sir. Neither of you. Icon says, screw you. I'm getting ice too. Screw you, you're getting ice too, Ty. And a pretty strong low pressure. Alright, let's check GDPS again, and then I guess we'll play Twisted for like 20 minutes. Hopefully we could find a good lobby or a good server. Maybe find some action there. Because finding lobbies in there is like an art. It's like the luck of the draw. Well, the Canadians seem to like me a little bit. Because I mean, no, well, maybe not. I don't know. That's pretty close. I can't really tell for sure. But anyway, alright, let's go ahead and get the Euro pulled up here. So that way when it's time, we can just go straight to it. Alright. Maybe you could get some from the gas station. There's always that. Turn this down first, and then I'll pull it up so you guys can see it on screen. Well, yeah, there's that. So there's a positive to be had there. Alright, here we go. Are we on frames? It looks like we are good. These lobbies kind of look like trash right now, if I'm being completely honest. Well, this seems like the best one, but I probably can't get in. Well, people are kind of dropping off, so maybe. See what this one looks like. Nope. I think we're gonna give this one a shot. Wait. Hey, there we go. The high risk is probably earlier, but we'll just have to take a moderate. I mean, we're jumping in late, so in all fairness. Alright, let's see if we get lucky here. Ah, we were close. I wish I could see what the radar looks like right now. Yeah, you sound like a bagel too. Wait a minute. The high risk is still going. Ooh. I mean, I'm probably not making it to that. If it's moving 73 miles an hour, I'm probably not making it to that. So, quick tip if you're on here, amputee. Oops. This little satellite dish here, that's your radar. Little sun here is how you look at what's called your thermodynamics for severe storms. This actually will cheat. This actually a little cheat here and tell you your storm motion here. The storms move pretty fast on this game, kind of like they do in real life, but maybe not quite as fast as these. This has like that classic hodiograph shape, so northeast motion. So high instability here. Any of these colors that are in the orange to red, those are pretty high values. One thing to really pay attention to is SRH. This is basically your wind shear. So when you're at like 512 meters squared per second squared, that's pretty high. Anything that's like 200 or lower is kind of mid. Another thing to remember is P watt, precipitable water. Anything that's above an inch is not great. That means your storms are almost guaranteed to be rain wrapped, along with the dew points being above 70. So yeah. And then also surface humidity or surface relative humidity, also pretty high. Another indicator it's going to be rain wrapped. So let's see, do we get anything else? Yeah, this is dying anyway, so yeah, it's a good thing I didn't even try to chase that. That's probably why people were leaving. I guess that's fair. Well, is there anything new forming? Or is it all off that way? My computer's not perfect for this game, so not everything renders in as well as I would like for it to. Like this kind of glitches every once in a while. Definitely need to make some upgrades in the future. Do you think you're in the shape to do it? If you are, then go for it. That's what I say, Baconator. I'll be rooting for you if you do it. If that's the only game in town here. Doing 350 is pretty impressive though still. Even if you don't complete it, even if you complete like half that, that's still an accomplishment, especially at your age. Oh, screw it. I might get under that anyway. I don't care. I'm just going to do it. Just a reminder, amputee, that little car button is how you spawn in a vehicle. I'm just going to grab a Chevlon. I'm not going to do anything special. Also, one thing about this game audio, if it's too high, I guess just let me know in the comment, in the chat. Why is it handling so bad? I guess I need to get it repaired. I had to zoom out, that was why. I figured it out pretty quick. Is it any better now? Yeah, because if I zoom in, that's when the problem emerges. What? See, that's the problem, Baconator. I gave you a good chance, and you were doing something positive, and then you had to ruin it. Dang, why am I not able to drive this thing? This feels like I'm leaning left and right at all times. What is this? Oh, it's a shelter. Really should turn on my lights. Probably make life a little easier. I'm probably just gonna off-road, screw it. Know what, Baconator? You sound incredibly sus right now. You're about to get timed out. Baconator on here just to ruin people's minds. You saw what, you know exactly what you said at the beginning. Dang. Sometimes facial hair is not fun. And what's going on with this love fest between you two? Like, seriously? Get a room, you two. Well, it's gone now, isn't it? Hey, G-Bro. We are waiting on the Euro. So we are passing the time by playing Twisted. Well, I guess we're stuck waiting till morning for this one. I'm probably just gonna go to another lobby. Jeez, that nickname is crazy. Oh. Oh, and the worst part about it is you can't even time him out. Because he's the same rank as you. Isn't that just nice? Feel the torture. Hen hen. No, you cannot. That era is over. You are both equals now. There's not much you can really call Jordan that makes him mad. And I'm not going to tell you if I did know. Especially with him literally right here in chat. Exact. I mean, come on. Come on now. I'm gonna try to see if we can get into one lobby and get lucky here. That's not gonna bother him. I can already tell you that now. That's not gonna work. Dang. Oh, hey, this sounds good. This sounds promising. This sounds really promising. Oh, hello. Ooh. Okay, let's go then. Let's party. Alright. Back here. Okay, I guess we can't play around though. Only thing we can use is the TIV for this. TIV 1. What, by nagging him? Oh, we're drifting. We are drifting for real. Yeah, there's something out ahead. Yep, there it is right there. Once it renders in, we'll probably see like a wedge or something. Or we might not, because it's going to be absolutely rain wrapped. The P-Watt's like 2 inches. Subvorts, you can see them. It's almost done. We just needed to get up to like 90 hours. So that's probably like maybe 3 or 4 more scans. Yeah, this new update's actually been highly regarded. Oh, come on, render in for me, please. I'm just not getting anything. It's gonna pass in front of me. Okay, here it is. Ooh, let me not do that. Winfield looks like it's pretty small, actually. Well, look at the subvort that's like going around the funnel. Oh, this is a beast of a tornado. I hope I have a road option. This doesn't look good. Yeah, I got a U-turn. Yep. And now it's completely rain wrapped to where I can't see a thing because the game doesn't render it in. I don't know you. No. I hope I can catch this thing still. I might, actually. I need to get this thing fixed up so I can go at its top speed again. No, he's not 50 plus. What the heck, dude? Oh, you're 50 plus 50 points. You're negative 2,000 points. How about that? You're negative 2,000 points, Baco. Are we even doing that? I didn't know we were even doing that still. You know what? Screw you. You're about negative 50,000 points. Wow. Baconator's a bad sport, man. I might be able to get this. Alright, so I gotta get on this road here. You know what? You're a negative 100,000, Baconator. How about that? Since we want to go by that logic. And just for good measure, Isaiah, you're a negative 75,000. How about that? Come on, I hope we're fast enough. I think we are. I don't know, just to keep it fair. Then again, you have been violating in chat too. Well, since you said you're a negative a million, I'll double down on that. You're negative 2 million. How about that? Honestly, yeah. Then once he starts it, then you continue it. So it's not like you're any better. You don't have much room. Now you just made it weird. Well, dang. Oh, it's a Sidewinder. Wow, look. Stop sidewinding. Come to me. Who keeps inviting me to their convoy? I'm not interested, clown. Honestly, that will probably happen. think it might hit me though. It actually might hit me directly. I might be in the perfect spot. Maybe not. Nah, it's gonna be just ahead of me. Yeah, it was just, oh, it was so close. I could literally stand outside and pick up my probe. Dang, I almost had it. Ooh, there's another one. If I can blast north, I still have a shot. Alright, anyone know what, let me see what hour the Euro is on, because I'm not gonna waste too much of you guys' time. We're at 75. I want to get to 90. Am I able to go? No? There we go. Swipe the text. What are you talking about? Alright, we have just enough time for one more. Just enough. That one's weakening too. It's probably occluding. Yeah, that one's heading off the map, so there's definitely no way we're catching that. Whoa, come on. I need a better off-roading intercept vehicle. Gotta get like tornado attack or something. It's going back up to red TBS. We're not going to get any view of it, though. I can already tell you that now. All we got is a bunch of rain and hail. This is probably about golf ball sized hail that we're seeing here. Oh, that's going to yellow. No, it's back to orange. I'm going to be stuck on this dirt road forever. Yeah, they kind of coaxed me into doing the Euro. They coaxed me into checking out the Euro, so I'm waiting for that to come in. So I'm hanging out right now. I'm just waiting for a couple more scans to come in and then going from there, so this is why I'm playing Twisted right now. Oh, there's something back there. Once it's past like 90 to 100, I'll probably get off of here and knock this out and knock that out. then once the discussion's done, I'll probably call it a night and then get ready to go to the store first thing in the morning. I need a vehicle first before we do that. I'm not that far away from getting one. It's just been rough, especially with this upcoming stretch. The way that the weather is going to be, it's going to be hard for me to even get out of the house. Alright, here's the tornado all the way back there. You can see the debris cloud. So if I can just get a good road option and break off of this dirt road, I probably can catch it. That's a good call. Well, the way it looks, I might lose power, I might not. It's hard to say. Depends on what the warm nose of this system decides to do. Get me off this dirt road, please. Get me off the dirt road. Help. It is getting closer, though. So at least it was the right call. But the suffering, the slow, agonizing suffering, it has to end soon. It must end soon. What's it looking like, actually? Oh, it's green TVS? Yeah, it's not even worth the trouble at this point. Dang. Well, we had one close intercept, and it seemed like it was pretty strong. It was like at least red TVS, maybe pink, but Winfield was too small to get good readings on it. It only got to like 40 miles an hour, so unfortunately, it is what it is. This isn't really worth chasing anymore. Well, alright guys, I guess we're going to go ahead and do the rest of the discussion here. Yeah, no matter what, it's even whether we get rain or snow, it's just a bad situation across the board. But half an inch of ice versus melted ice might be maybe just a tiny bit better. It's hard to say, but the rain, the moisture content could still be enough to where it's a huge problem still in its own right. No matter how you look at it, it's not ideal. Anyways, we're going to close out Roblox. And we're going to get this started here. Here's a look at my rig, by the way, guys. Hope you enjoy that for about 5 seconds. Okay. Oh, we're at 105 hours. Good, good, good. But yeah, that's what OBS looks like. That's part of what I see when I'm streaming. I always have it on one of the screens at all times, either that or the YouTube analytics screen, one or the other. Okay, here we go. Excuse me. I'm just happy we broke past 10 concurrent even at this point. Like I said, appreciate you all being here. Appreciate the support we've gotten in recent time. It matters to me, you know, even if it's just a little bit of chat, just a little bit of chatting going on. It counts for something. Okay, come on now, move forward for me, will ya? Might have had, no, okay, it's working, it's working. Alright, so GFS and the Euro have been on a trend now to where this starts up in like mid to late afternoon for Texas, Oklahoma. And then it really kind of deepens from that point, from this low that was up here from the last scan. Then here's our second piece of energy. This is going to be the first round, and then ultimately it's going to be what the setup ends up being for the southeast. This is new model data, by the way, so this is the first time I've seen it. We're reacting to this in real time, basically. Quite the warm nose pops up. That's been the main trend with the Euro for a while here. Isaiah's going to be unhappy about this if he's still here because of the fact that we're getting freezing rain just about the entire time he's over there. See the cold air damming continuing to occur out towards the eastern part of this system. This blocking high is going to help keep some of that wind direction out towards the east. So this doesn't look like it's going to spare me, because I'm a little bit closer towards the east side of the town versus the west side. So we don't start out, we end up starting out as mostly freezing rain. Maybe towards the back end of it, we end up as rain. It's crazy to see the potential of a squall line trying to pop up here. I'm actually kind of suspicious for the potential of thunder sleet, thunder ice potentially, before this moves on through. And then by the time we get into Monday morning, this is pretty much out of here, with the exception of some remnant snow over towards the northeast and the Appalachians here. For the northeast, I would say timing is just about the same. Sunday afternoon, right around noon. I mean, you got to think there's going to be some unstable cape. Probably most unstable cape would be the metric that we would look for regarding potential for thunder. Obviously, surface cape's going to be low because it's pretty daggone. It's going to be coldest really towards the surface. Yeah, you can kind of see it here. We actually get some notable values here from the euro as well. Uh-oh. Is my audio off again? Is my audio off again? Check, check. Hang on, let me move this screen back over. There we go. Watch Brady from tonight. Okay. Yeah, I always am paranoid now, because if I even so much as bump this little cord, it just goes away. The audio's gone even if it's plugged in. But it also doesn't hold in the port well, so it could be that. Weather Freaks has a cool Stormfront has a pretty cool feature. Okay. I'll get into that for you in just a moment. Oh, weather front. But yeah, here's the most unstable cape here. And then here's a little warm nose, and then you can see the energy that's out along with that as the temperature increases. So yeah, I definitely think a rumble of thunder or two is possible. In fact, dare I say likely. Okay. So we'll watch that move out. And then that's that. So as far as the rain is concerned, Jordan, it's all got everything to do with the surface temps. So watch what happens as as that low pressure kicks in. In fact, I have a better map for this. Here we go, right here. Now we can see our pressure contours. Unfortunately, I don't have one that has the mean sea level pressures, or MSLP. But watch what happens here. As that low pressure comes in from here and moves here, you can actually see it perfectly. There's a cold air right here, warm air wraps around here. That's where our low pressure is. And it just pulls some of that warm air from the Gulf northward. And this is why the switch over to rain happens. With the mountains seeping that cold air out over towards these areas, that's where it gets tricky. Yeah, Mama G, he's talking about just straight up rain for some of these areas. He's thinking that the surface temperatures are too low. And it is for the most part, but once that low pressure kicks in, that's when the warm air comes in towards the higher levels of the atmosphere. And that's why these areas right here, this line end up getting rain. Whereas what you're talking about, you're talking more along the lines of this. We'll go ahead and look at the 850. This is the point where the surface temperatures are going to still be kind of low. But, and in fact, I got a better way to do this. There. Okay, so we'll do that. Then we'll go to this again. And we'll put them side by side. So a good example in this case would be Arkansas. We'll zoom in right here. This is what you're talking about. Surface temperatures at like 21, but up towards the low to mid levels of the atmosphere, we're like at 4 degrees Celsius, so we're probably talking about a good maybe 37, 38 degrees Fahrenheit at about 1,000 feet. So whatever falls here freezes on contact immediately, but whatever snowflake would originally have fallen ends up falling as rain because of what's happening in the middle part of the atmosphere because of this. And then if we look at the QT chart to go along with it, this is the best example. See how this pushes off to the right here? This is 0 degrees Celsius right here. We're actually really warm by the time we get past 850 kilometers here, or the 850 millibars here. So between 1 and 3 kilometers, we're above freezing by a considerable amount, and this actually is a trend all the way up to about maybe 500 kilometers, truthfully. So it's very warm towards this part of the atmosphere. So it's a snowflake from here, and then this transitions into rain for a while, and then right back at the surface, probably at about maybe even 500 feet. This is finally starting to freeze, but by that point it's too late. Drops as a raindrop, but with this temperature right here being at 19 degrees at the surface, freezes instantly on contact, get your freezing rain, and then there you go. Best guess precip type would be sleet, but it really doesn't matter if it's sleet or just rain. It's gonna freeze on contact. Yeah, that's freezing rain. There you go. It's really a lot more simple than what people think it would be. It's complex, but if you really think about it, it makes a lot of sense. You just got to be practical with it once you get past the early stuff. Once you realize the atmosphere is in layers. Yeah. So yeah, whether it's freezing rain or just sleet, once it hits the ground, it's freezing. So it doesn't really matter what it is. The best case scenario would really be snow, but obviously with what we just saw, that's probably not going to happen. No, Jordan's not inept when it comes to weather. He knows a little something. And we actually talked about it the other night on Discord. We were having like one of our old chats we used to have like way back when. I've known Jordan for quite a while actually. I've known him for like 7-8 years now. Well, actually more like 8 years. So yeah, but yeah, he's solid when it comes to the weather. But let me think here, cause I don't know who I explained it. I don't know who all was here earlier, but I think I was explaining it to Isaiah and a couple other people. The GFS run is really interesting because of the simple fact that, well, no real easy way to say this, but if we go here, guess what I see? I see this monstrosity. So the new Euro is about about maybe 2 or 3 more scans away from being able to look at this on there. And this turns into chaos for my area too. Because look at how that spins around the high pressure right here. The physics of this isn't that far-fetched. So this high ends up shifting south here, and we end up getting that clockwise flow. This actually would bring the snow back around with new moisture off to the south here based off the low pressure that pops up here, which is actually really strong too. So this is a crazy setup in its own right. Yeah, the wraparound on this is crazy. And then this also bombards the northeast if this ends up coming to fruition. Obviously 200 hours out, this is bold, but still, this is wild. And the deformation zone here is crazy. On the north side of that low, where all the moisture is going to come in and run into the wall of cold air, if this comes into play, that's going to be some crazy snowfall totals there. It's an intricate setup that's in long range. Yeah, you'll get some snow one way or another. If it's not on the front end, it'll definitely be on the back end. Yeah, because the front end, I think you still end up getting rain. But the Euro is just a little bit out of range. We need a few more scans out of that. Well, we see more people on here. So, all I'm going to ask is, what do you guys want to do? Do you want me to go over the Euro with this, or... NAM's not in range for this event. NAM only goes to 84 hours. Or for the 31st, I should say. The other event that's coming up for this weekend, NAM looks kind of like all the others, a big mess of rain more so than it is ice. Kind of pushes a little bit further towards the north like the Euro. So yeah, this is pretty much what's going on here. We kind of end up getting spared, truthfully. We just end up seeing rain, and that's it. But the NAM, when it comes to winter weather, every once in a while it'll show something. It'll show something that ends up being accurate. But a lot of times I don't rely on it. I don't even like relying on it for severe weather. Yeah, it's still showing warm. So it's kind of a wacky look. Like, it's showing warmer than all of the other models. Let's see what the UK models have to offer too while we're at it. Because I think we've looked at just about every other model on here at least once or twice. Now I'm curious. Yeah, warm. Canadian goes to 240. We've looked at Canadian earlier. Canadian's kind of leaning more towards the Euro. Not quite the same as the NAM though, but close enough. Oh, we could actually look at the Euro for that system as well. Yeah, the Euro's warm nose pushes a lot further to the north as well. But yeah, this is the Canadian, and then let's see. What do we get with this? Oh, okay. So that's two models. That's two global models that are showing something. Cold air doesn't seem like it makes it far enough to the south, and the low ends up being a little bit further out towards the east in comparison. Can you check Greenville and Clover, South Carolina? House is going towards where the low travels. Okay. Alright, let's go back. Where is Clover, though? That's my real question. Yeah, you're still getting freezing rain regardless. But you might get some rain on the backside. Only problem is, regardless of whether you get rain or regular old rain or freezing rain, is the refreeze that's going to be coming after the fact. I don't think the double RFS is in range yet. It's just barely, unless there's an 84-hour run. Oh no, there is 84 hours now. I forgot that it does that. Yeah, plus if you're in upstate South Carolina, you're going to end up being in like the area where all the cold air wells up, so you're going to still probably get a lot of freezing rain, a lot of ice, more so than anything else. Ew. Convectives are showing a strong push. Well, yeah, just about every model still kind of has you in the middle there. You're going to end up getting mostly freezing rain. Maybe a shift back towards rain at the end. So, it's just one of those things. Oh, wrong screen. I was trying to shift over to something else, but is what it is. Couldn't get it to work right. Yeah, just about all the models are kind of looking the same. So here's a look at the GFS. This is the area that you will be looking for right about here. GFS kind of starts you out as sleet, but you end up with freezing rain still. And especially if you're south, if the low is to your south, it doesn't really make much of a difference. It still kind of shows up being the same old thing. But yeah, I'm just as much concerned about the refreeze more so than anything else. Alright, so the GFS and the Canadian are kind of on board with one another, at least from what I could tell. At least for this potential next system. It's just on the edge of its range. Well, Euro's in range now, so let's go ahead and take a look at that really quickly. I don't think the Euro's going to show anything from that. Yeah, those guys just can't seem to be left alone. Just like one of the worst areas to get caught up in general. Euro's trying to show something, but it forms up late. It does lead me to believe that it is trying. Maybe it's picking up on something, even though it's not quite in line with the GFS, but it's trending more in that direction because the last couple days it wasn't showing much of anything at all. So whether or not there's still validity to this is to be determined. But it is picking up that energy towards the Gulf. The ridge would be out of position though. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, these next couple weeks are going to be kind of brutal. I'm not going to lie to you. These next weeks are going to be brutally cold. There's some areas further off to the north that are going to be kind of leaning into that cold to maybe record lows. It's going to be brutally cold regardless across the board. If we go ahead and take a look at our advisory map here. Oh, hello. That's new. We now have ice storm warnings, and this is just to my north here. I live right around here, around the northeast side of Atlanta. And we got ice storm warnings in effect all the way from Cumming, all the way to like Bowman, which is right towards the South Carolina and Georgia state line here. I think Augusta could get spared. I'm hoping they do, because that's where that's where my mom's side of the family is. Yeah, there's a chance though that I could end up. Yeah, because I'm just north of the city. I'm just like to the north and east of the city, so there's a real chance I end up under an ice storm warning. Not ideal. Yeah, I'm like literally a county over, like one or two counties over. So yeah, this is gonna be interesting. Definitely gonna have to make sure that I get good pickings in the store tomorrow. Like it's not even a game. Alrighty then. So final outlooks right now. I do expect these ice storm warnings to extend a little bit further out towards the east as well. We might probably see this stretch all the way even into Virginia before all said and done. As far as winter weather advisories, I might see this stretch further out towards east, towards western Georgia, and then going forward from there. It's kind of a mystery as to what we end up getting. These will probably be winter storm warnings towards maybe eastern Tennessee, because we'll probably shift back to rain at some point from the looks of it. Do I have cook gas for heat or cooking? Yes, we have a gas stove, or we have a gas range, stove, oven, also a fireplace. So no worries here. No worries. Definitely seems like one of the biggest ice storms in recent memory. Oh, total electric in this situation's bad. Yeah, most of my life I've been total electric. This is the first place that I've lived in where I've had gas. And at first I was incredibly scared. I can't lie to you. I was very scared. But I've grown used to it and I kind of like it. A camping stove and a propane heater. So not all is lost. I'm sure you could work that. But yeah, you can always fire up the grill. There you go. In all fairness, there's like a grill setup outside of our house because I live in an apartment complex. There's like a grill post, I guess you would call it, but still. Ooh, 20 stores, crazy. Yeah, really. I did my first discussion in live stream for this on like Tuesday, and I said really today's like probably going to be the last day because once these watches started getting issued, which they honestly started getting issued like a day earlier than I expected, people are going to start flooding the stores, and shelves were already starting to get cleaned out even on Tuesday. By the time Wednesday hit, I already knew it was over with. We don't really have much to get over here, thankfully. We were already kind of. We always try to keep the freezer stocked up with food, but usually at a slow pace. So we were already kind of set up well. We just added a couple other things to the list just to make sure we were good. Is there a Love's near me? Not really. It's a little bit further towards like the northern or southern half of the state where we have more of the Loves and the Buckies and all that other stuff. Around here we have mainly Racetrack and Quick Trip, which is nothing close to that. Yeah, Walmart's always going to get it first. Uh, Kroger Kroger probably is going to be the more reliable place, but I'm pretty sure they're going to be cleaned out. But that's also why we're going at in about 5 hours from now. Yeah, but gas stations are going to be the most expensive. But yeah, we really don't need much of anything, truthfully. I mean, We got an Instacart today from Aldi. It's like a smaller store, but outside of bread, we were able to get everything that we needed, and we just wanted that extra loaf for safety, because we already have about half a loaf of bread. How you doing, Stormfront? Thanks, Brady. Absolutely. No, we can't ignore this one. And literally, I'm flirting with an ice storm warning right now for my own area. Look at this. I'm literally 2 counties away from it. I'm kind of sweating a little bit. Like, woo! I don't know if I'm ready for half an inch of ice, because, man, I mean, even though I have the stuff we need here, we even have like a gas range for our stove and oven, so we're in good shape, but yeah, I'm definitely going to be stuck here for a while, and I just don't want to lose power. Oh yeah, I could have told you that. Milk and bread were wrecked. We're going to always be wrecked, because that's the first to go. That's not even a surprise. Yeah, Mama G's been very helpful around here, especially within the last years. Thanks for introducing her to me through one of the raids. Ah, power. That's really my concern for everybody, because I think a lot of us have been through enough ice storms around here to know not to head out. Then again, I'm sure someone's gonna try it, even though I'm really hoping they don't. Yeah, the thing with Texas is, even though they're not gonna get as much ice, it's just the whole power grid situation over there. I mean, if with the power grid being so calm, man, it's just nothing good. Nothing good really comes from that. I'm hoping. Maybe it could even be this year. Depends. I really just hope right now to get a vehicle, because mine went down during the summer. Yeah, a car went down in the summer with a bunch of different problems that is ridiculously expensive to fix. It's to the point where it will be more feasible to get another vehicle, and that's saying a lot given the market right now. The used car is like 5 grand. Help. Anyway, so I wish I could. Nah, I guess I can't really joke. I guess I can't really joke about that even, because it's. I mean, I'm worried about the storm too, in a way. Not even for me, but just for people in general. Like, just I haven't seen an ice storm like this in a long time. Like, it's been 5 years since I've seen a more significant ice storm. That was one that was towards like Texas and Arkansas, Kentucky and Tennessee. That was in 22. Well, that was more like 4 years. But last time I saw an ice storm like this over here towards the deep south, like my area even. Hmm. Well, I would say that was more like, was it even 2014? I really want to go back further to like mid 2000s. Ooh, just south of Memphis. They're like right on the line of that ice storm warning as well. So yeah, I've had people asking me about Memphis in particular. I'm definitely thinking that that's going to be a bullseye too. So there is that. Okay, so I think we've gone over all the model data that we can go over. We even talked about bonus stuff. We talked about the monthly outlook, and then we also went over the potential of the next storm. So I don't know. I don't know what else we could really go over tonight. Besides, I gotta get up in less than 5 hours to try to go to the store while there's still an opportunity, and see if there's anything that we really can grab that would make life a little bit easier. Because the plan here is probably to have like tacos, chili, just whatever we can cook on the stove top. It's only 2 days. Like I said, the real issue is the power grid. If the power grid was a little bit more reliable, and then previous memories of the ice storm y'all had a few years back, they would probably be a little bit better about things. Because the thing about it is, it's not like the ice totals are quite as high over there, but it's still problematic. Yeah, that's the point we're really driving home here. If power goes out over there, it's gonna be a huge problem for a lot of people. But yeah, this, like, as far as overall damage, it's really the infrastructure that I will be most concerned about. Like, I would say trees could be an issue as well, depending on who gets up to about half an inch. But as far as like anything else, I would say, I want to look at this again. Nope, it doesn't really show anything beyond that point. Yeah, trucks getting around is going to be also probably the worst part. I'm really worried about truck drivers. Yeah, that's my big concern around this area, because where I live, like, I'm surrounded by hills. And there's a road that leads up to the highway towards where I live. There's trees and power lines literally almost right on top of each other. And there's a whole row of houses, a whole subdivision essentially, or several subdivisions over there, where trees and houses are like right next, like, are way too close. So, and then on top of that, when we had hurricanes come through like Helene and Zeta, where we had high winds, those trees came down. So we ended up having power out for about, it wasn't that bad for us, especially compared to other people's stories that I've heard about, but we didn't have power for about 40 hours. So there was that. Yeah, hopefully she can find a truck stop if worst comes to worst. She shouldn't chance it if she doesn't have to. That's what I would say. Well, all right. I mean, if anyone has more questions, feel free to shoot. I'll hang around for maybe another 10 minutes, but I gotta get some rest soon so that way I can get up first thing in the morning. Yeah, that right there should be telling to a lot of people. And I mean, that should be like really telling to a lot of people. But that should also say just how significant about half an inch of close to half an inch of ice really is. Once you're at a quarter inch, it's pretty bad. But once you get to half inch, man, talk about some nightmare. Talk about nightmare fuel. Well, all right, guys. I guess I am gonna probably get some rest. I got like I'm probably gonna get about a good 3 hours of sleep, and then I guess we'll go live tomorrow night. Probably about 8 or 9 o'clock my time, and we'll start coverage from there. We'll probably do it in segments because, well, yeah. This is going to be a multi-day event, so I doubt we're going to be able to hack being up for like 48 hours straight. But we're going to try to do coverage, get in where we fit in, because I know a lot of other people are going to be live too. All right, appreciate you, Jordan. I'll catch up with you a little later. But everybody, I appreciate you all tuning in. Thank you all, and I will see you in the next one. Have a good night. Get some rest too. Stay warm and prepared.